Back again to talk about what is probably your best whitetail season ever. My best friend Peter, he went from having no bucks to, if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, you'll be able to see he's got two whitetail bucks, both from this past season and both taken by him, one with a bow and one with a rifle. Welcome back, Peter.
Hey, what's up, man? Happy to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. We've been talking about doing this. It's April. The season ended in January, so for 3 months we've been talking about doing this podcast. But that's life.
Yeah, it's been a little busy the start of the year so far. So
Tell me about it, dude. Bathroom renovations killing me. You're starting a new job here in a couple
yeah,
weeks. Lots and lots going on. But before we dive into the Bucks, I think something that we could talk about a little bit is last year is the first year in a while that you and I didn't go on a Western hunt. Neither of us went on a Western hunt at all. We just hunted our home states. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that played into you getting your first buck? We'll call it the PA one.
I think it helps. I feel like a lot of times I get so focused on the Western trips that I try to kind of I spend less time in the woods at home, knowing that I'll have like a trip where it might be a week or 10 days, whatever it is. So that way I try to do what I can at home and spend more time with the family. So when I'm gone for those days, it's not that big a deal. Or I'm not gone for 10 days, come back, and then I'm gone every evening like I was this past season. So,
Yeah, but that's what it takes sometimes. It was weird. Like I honestly don't remember. I think the last time I didn't go out west was 2019. I think when I first started hunting, like that first year when I got this buck. I think it was the only time, and that's because we had just gotten back and neither of us had any money or knew what we were doing.
yeah, no, for sure.
I do think though, like I'm the same way I when I'm out when I'm focusing on a western hunt, I don't I just don't pay as much attention. I take it for granted probably the amount of time that I think I have, and you end up really not having that much time, especially if it's, a couple weekends here and there. Like I was basically a weekend warrior this past season. I don't know about you.
I get to hunt. For me, it's always odd hours. So because I do shift work and then the stuff I have that I deal with here at home, I'm pretty much always hunting evenings. I did not hunt a single morning this past season except for when we were in Texas. That is the only time I actually hunted a morning. Every other time I don't think I was ever out in the field before like 1 p.m.
Even late season, I don't remember. How long does the season go in Pennsylvania?
It goes for a while, but I mean, I might have got out like at 8 or 9 a.m. one day in rifle season just to basically take the gun for a hike here, see if I could shoot
Hmm.
a doe. Yeah, yep, that was one time. And other than that, I pretty much all hunted all evenings. I could pretty much never get out early in the morning because I'm always dealing with my kids. So, like, that's just the way we work our schedule out. So, I'm always hunting evenings, which I prefer. I don't care for hunting mornings.
I am so split on that, man, because like I see action on both, and the mornings honestly they just kind of suck. Like especially when you do mobile because you're going in the dark, you're hoping you pick the right tree. At least for me, this past season, every single time it was like I mean, I was texting you and Dre the entire time. I would go to a spot, get to a tree that I think would be good, and then be like, actually, this tree sucks, or it's too thick, or too wide, or there's no good lanes. And then I just end up hunting from the ground. And it's just like, oh yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. Um, I don't know. I didn't notch a tag in Tennessee, so I don't have much to stand on in terms of that. But I don't know. I think you could go either way, but I probably like evenings more too.
To me, I find myself gravitating to spots when I'm scouting, and a lot of spots in the area I live in. I'm able to hunt a lot of public close to home, but a lot of the public here. So the good areas where I tend to catch deer in the evenings, they're kind of right on the edge of that feeding, and they're not ideal morning setups because any good way to get in there, I'm blowing deer out. So pretty much all the spots where I've been having good encounters. They've all been spots where I could slip in midday or early afternoon and set up for the evening. And typically my encounters are the last 30 minutes, 30, 45
Always.
minutes of light. But like that's just what it's been this past season specifically. It's pretty consistent. And like I said, mornings, just those areas that I like to hunt. It's the specific access I like and the specific spot I'm looking for. It seems to just, I know going in there in the morning is going to blow them out. So I rather not take that chance and just blow the whole day up.
Yeah. It's tough because, like, and I know you don't use trail cameras, and we were texting back and forth about my trail cameras, my pictures from my season. I might do a whole podcast just on what I do with trail cameras because I feel like I use them more for learning what not to do than what to do, honestly, because like I completely eliminated one spot that I was super excited about, but it was a pain in the butt to get there. I mean, it's almost 2.5 miles in one way and more predators than deer. And I think I saw one branch antlered buck, and I left that camera from September through March. I think I saw one branch antlered buck. And I saw every other species, man. I saw raccoons, rabbits, squirrels, fox, bobcat, coyote, so many of coyotes and bobcats, like a ridiculous amount. Okay, number of does. And like, that kind of changed my approach. But when you don't have that and you're focusing on your areas and what you can see, I almost feel like sometimes that's an advantage. And I don't know, it can go both ways, but we should probably dive into what you did to get, well, you got 2 bucks over you behind you. The, well, how about you point to them? Because I don't know what direction is what.
All
All
right.
right.
So center here is my Pennsylvania buck, which is my first buck ever and the one I got with a bow in archery season this year.
And
Shot
hold
him.
on. That is a damn good first buck. Just
Thank
saying.
you.
He is a great looking deer.
He's awesome. And it's funny because it's a deer I saw a lot of sign out of all season long. And I knew he was around, but he was nocturnal. Now, I never got him on camera, but I just like I knew there was a different deer around just because the way they were all acting, and I consistently kept finding sign, and I caught him going back into his rub line in like mid-November, which is when he got shot. And then the buck here is the one I got in Texas when we were down there in January.
Yeah. Let's start with the PA buck. What'd you do for like, so you have history with him, obviously. What was it like for scouting? How did you approach the season? And then, what was the setup actually like? And then I know how it plays out, but I think it's a great story of how you recovered him and something we should definitely talk about.
Okay, cool. So, season in Pennsylvania starts typically first weekend of October. So, I kind of put a lot of eggs into the archery basket this year. And so I spent all summer basically exploring this new area. I had not hunted here before. So I did all my typical summer activities in there. I kind of shifted all my hiking in there, all my, my foraging in there, kind of anything I could do to get into this area. I mean, miles and miles with the pup, just getting in there and looking all over. And the area where I ended up shooting this buck is an area where if I got there early enough in the morning during the summer, I would consistently see a bachelor group. They were kind of out in this field, and they were real shy. Like any kind of movement, they were gone. But I saw them consistently, maybe I don't know, half a dozen times in that same area. I would kind of poke in to that field a few hundred yards away, and I was able to get just enough of a view with binos. Okay, cool. They're still in there, so I kind of knew that they were hanging out in that area. And it's these big fields, and right off of them is it's real thick, opens up to some pine and oak. So there's a lot of opportunity to set up, but the deer kind of consistently feed in this area at night and feed, and that's where they like to come out in the evening and duck in the morning. So I knew there was no way to exit in the morning without blowing them out. because there was does all over. There's a lot of doe in here. So as I actually set up there a couple days after the opener, I wasn't able to hunt the opener. I set up right on the edge of that field, kind of like what you talked about earlier. Get in there, I'm going to find a tree. First year with the saddle, just like you. Yeah, try to get in there, find a tree. None of the trees I wanted to get into work because I was like, I'm going to
Never.
be wide open. I'm going to be wide open or it's just going to be a mess. So I ended up setting on the ground, and the last 15 minutes of light, I have a buck chasing does around like puppies. I've never seen. They look like a scene out of a
In
dog show
October?
in October. And it wasn't. It didn't look like that type of chasing because it was a group of does, like 4 doe, and it was this young buck, and like he's maybe a year and a half, 2.5, and it looked like he was just like they legitimately looked like they were playing tag. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But so I was kind of watching them, and he was a legal buck. He was a 6 point. So I was trying to kind of wait, hope he'd come in a archery range, but he didn't. They constantly kept moving, and eventually I saw a really good 8 point come out of this real tall grass on the far end of the field. I was able to duck into the woods and kind of play the wind. So the wind was coming out of the field into the woods, and I was in the tree line. So I was able to duck behind and kind of circle around him. That was I
Okay.
don't even remember. I missed the shot on that deer because I ranged him at
Hmm.
I think it was like 40, and I shot way under him. It turned out he was like 65 when I rearranged
We've all
it
been
later.
there.
Yeah, so that wasn't one of my best moments, but it was like first hunt of the season. Real excited. So needless to say, I knew there was deer in here. So after that, I kind of let that spot be. I would hunt a few different areas, start to get more comfortable in the saddle. Different areas, kind of in the same vicinity, maybe within a mile of that. I was constantly hunting within a mile of that spot. I had some good encounters, but mostly with doe. I didn't really see a lot of bucks the rest of the season. Uh, and then eventually, when it started getting to pre-rut, I saw a load of sign. I started seeing rubs everywhere, and just from looking at the trees and the way they were rubbed, you could kind of tell it was the same buck because they were all at the same height. They were kind of the trees were a little wider. You could tell where the tines were kind of right in the same spots constantly. It looked like he was kind of consistently doing the same thing. And I mean,
Hmm.
you could walk the edge of these fields, and I mean, dozens of them. They were everywhere. I would get into the tree line in some of those spots, like before I'd set up for the evening, and I was seeing like I could stand in one spot and look at 8 or 9 rubs from this one spot. So eventually, a cold front in November, I got in there mid afternoon, like maybe 2 p.m. Set up in the saddle, and basically I didn't even realize I set up on a trail because I see these deer constantly. They kind of come out of the open woods. They funnel into this real thick stuff. Like it's almost like young growth with a couple big trees in between it, but it's
Hmm.
super thick. Like they're kind of weaving out. If you look at the trails in there, it looks like
They're
like a
really
zip
narrow
line
and
almost.
thin.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
so I set up in one of the only bigger trees I could, and I had a great wind because the wind was blowing out of the woods directly out into the field. So I was literally 10 feet, maybe 15 feet off the edge of this field in a tree facing into the woods where I know I had a trail kind of like off to my left. And I was on the backside of the tree in the saddle. So that way I have to peek over the tree to see.
Okay, so you're pretty well hidden then if something's
Yeah,
coming
I
from
was
the
well
woods
hidden.
out.
And so I
And you were
sat there
expecting
for,
them to come from the woods?
yes. So that's because I've been seeing and hearing that movement constantly in that spot. So I know right before dark they'll funnel out and they'll typically be does, which I was fine with because I had doe tags and I just wanted to shoot one. It really didn't matter. It's whatever got
Yep.
close enough to die at that point.
I get it.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, 20, no, a little more than that, but let's say 40 minutes before dark, I started hearing movement. And right away, I kind of thought it was a buck because it was by itself and it seemed heavy. Just, you listen to these critters enough on that leaf litter, and especially in that area is kind of wet, you kind of know how stuff sounds. And this thing was very slow and seemed heavy, but it was walking alone. I was like, well, that's either going to be a buck or it's going to be a bear. A lot of bear in that area. And
Okay,
either
I was gonna
way,
say I didn't realize you get a lot of bear in that spot. I mean, I know you
yeah.
get some.
So I kind of just hung out, and eventually I kind of caught a glimpse of him. There was just one spruce tree kind of there. And I caught a glimpse of him on the right side of the spruce. Big body right away. I knew, okay, that's going to be a buck. I just don't know if he's legal yet. So I kind of go around the left side, my left side of the tree, wait for him to come out. He comes past that spruce, and I just took one look at him, and right away, big body, rack looked wide compared to most of the other deer I've seen. I kind of didn't bother counting points at that point. I was just like, okay, relax, just draw, wait, and then I draw, and I had, of course, vitals behind the one damn tree I had right there. So I kind of just
Of
hold,
course.
and yeah, it wasn't bad. I had to hold for a couple seconds extra.
Probably felt like a minute though.
Yeah, it does. It always does. But he finally, he took those 2 steps or whatever, 3 steps. Didn't have to make any noise. He was just head down, real slow. And, I let the arrow go. And as soon as I let the arrow go, like, I felt good about the shot. And I looked, and I could hear the arrow pass through him because it went past him. I heard the arrow impact behind him. So, and I knew it made contact as he kicked. Like, great, I feel good, but now it's getting real dark. So I'm watching him. He takes off. He goes about 50 yards into the woods, and then he stops. So I'm expecting him to lay down, which he doesn't. He stops, kind of looks like he's getting a little woozy for a second, but then he walks off slowly. And that automatically just my heart sank. I was like, oh no. Like I must have
Hmm.
made a bad shot because there's no reason for that deer to, walk off like that. It didn't make any sense to me. So once I knew I didn't hear him anymore, I was out of sight. I'm obviously texting you guys, freaking out. I think I'm
Yep.
calling you as soon as I'm out of the
I
stand.
think so. Yeah.
I go while I still have like a few minutes of light, but it's pretty much dark. I find my arrow. I look at it. I've got blood, no guts, except what kind of looks like it might be guts on one fletching, but dark blood on the front of the arrow. So I'm like, okay, I might have been back, but I don't think I'm that far back. I probably clipped liver, and I know it's getting down just about freezing tonight. So made the decision, just it's too dark. I'm by myself. I have nobody to help me. So I'm like, let's let him lay, and I'll try to find somebody with a dog. Because luckily in this area, it's legal for us to use dogs to recover. And there's a lot of guys that are even local that'll just come out and help you, and they have their own dogs they train, so it's great. Put up on a local Facebook group, and some guys offered to come out the next day, but nobody could make it in the morning. Everybody wanted to come out in the afternoon. So I ended up basically going, well, I'll wait if I can't find him in the morning. One of the guys was supposed to come out. So I get down there. Finally, it's like the whole night was a mess. You know how that goes. You hit one, you can't find him. It's awful. And so morning, get out of the house, put the kid on the bus, get in the truck, drive up, already freaking out. Then right before I park the truck, I run into a guy, I don't know, 100 yards from where I was supposed to just stop and walk in. He's out there with a real pretty bird dog. Nice guy, little double barrel, older gentleman. And I stop. I was like, hey, just so you know, I see you're going to be hunting in here. I shot a buck in there last night, and I'll be looking for him. So just what area are you in so we don't bump into each other? I don't want to mess up your time, whatever. He's like, oh, well, where'd you shoot him? So I kind of explained where I was. And he's like, well, I'll be heading up that way. And the dog sometimes likes to find him. She's found him before. So why don't you give me your phone number? And we'll go from there. I said, all right, cool, man. I said, if anything, he's like, oh, just listen, the bells on the dog, you'll know where we are. Cool. So I get back there. I left the arrow in the ground the night before from right where I made the shot. Started doing my circles, walking around. I'm not seeing a lot of blood on the ground. Some blood early, and it felt like I lost it quick. So I'm just like questioning my decision from the night before. Should I just follow them? Whatever.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a
The
shit
simple the typical second guessing stuff that I'm sure every single person does that you probably
Yeah.
shouldn't do. You did the right thing.
Yeah, so but I didn't want to push. I just took my time and I was kind of working the circles, half circles slowly out from where I knew I saw him the night before. I was finding like a little bit of piece of meat here, a little bit of blood there. So it was just slow going. Maybe I kept checking the arrow. Like it looked like it was liver. I was like, this deer should be dead. There was no reason for him not to be dead. And then I called you
And we
freaking
all
out.
told you that too. All right. I don't know if that's what you're about to say, but you
No,
were freaking out.
I
And
was
I
freaking
told
out.
you it was a dead deer. I told you that night it was a dead deer. I told you that morning it was a dead
Yeah,
deer.
but until you put your hands on it, man, it's so hard to like. I know everybody says that, but it's so hard to let that go. And
Yeah.
and it was sick,
But that's
right?
what your friends are for. They got to
I know,
calm
but
you
I never
down so
like.
you
It
can
was my
stop
first
freaking out.
one. It was my first
Yeah.
one. I always imagined it would have been like, oh, I get to just watch him tip over and it'd be awesome. It's just not how it
Yeah.
worked
Not
out.
everyone can have Kristen's first deer. So for
Yeah.
those who don't know, my wife's first deer ever was a nice 8 point buck. She shot it with a rifle, but it literally didn't take a step. She heart shot it, it fell in place, and it just expired immediately. Like that doesn't happen ever. Nobody. We all have to do it. I mean, my first buck, I freaked out. He ran, I don't know, 70 yards or something like that, and then you find him, you're gonna freak out. And your shot was all right. You probably could have found him that night, but I'm ruining the story. Keep going.
No, it's fine. So, anyways, I call you that morning and I'm, frankly losing it, freaking out. And you're trying to talk me off the ledge, right? So, while I'm literally talking to you on the phone, my phone buzzes and I look down and it's a text from a number that I just got from the dog guy, and all it says is this him?" So I look at the phone, and as soon as I look at the picture, I'm like, "Yeah, that's him," because it's kind of that light color rack, and he's wide, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's the one." So right away I hung up with you, called the guy, and I was like, "Dude, are you serious? You fine?" He goes, "Yep, the dog got on him." He goes, "Are you still where you said you were?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you hear the bells?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, that's where your deer is." I'm like, "No shit, I could hear the bells." So he's not far. And from where I shot, as the crow flies, this deer is, I mean, I don't know, 120 yards, like in a straight line. But I'm assuming the
Mhm.
way he looped, he maybe went 200.
Yeah.
And the worst part of it was that, unfortunately, the of all the birds to get onto your kill, it was a goddamn bald eagle.
Ah,
It
yeah.
wasn't, it wasn't like anything else. A bald eagle was on it, like a juvenile bald eagle. But it wasn't bad. I did lose a back ham because so the way he was facing, I ended up hitting him. It looked like clipped the back of one lung and liver, and where it came out, it kind of came out back, which is probably where I got the guts on that one fletching, because he was kind of quartered to me that
Mhm.
angle. So basically, the way he fell, the exit was facing up, so the birds tore up at the exit, and there was bile on that back leg and stuff. So I was able to cut him up right there. And well, first it was just awesome, dude. That guy was a stud with that dog, and they were the nicest people in the world, super nice. And I was like, dude, like, what do you want in return? He goes, I'll tell you what, I don't hunt deer anymore because I can't carry, I got a bad back. I was like, dude, I don't care if you shoot one 6 miles in somewhere. I'm dragging it. I'll fucking pack it out for you, whatever you need.
Yeah.
At that point, he's the greatest person I've ever met in my life. And the dog
I
was,
know, right? He found your deer. Who knows if
dude,
you would have found it even though it wasn't that far away? Like the amount of time and effort it would have taken for you to find it by yourself.
it was messed up because like it did exactly what I didn't expect it would do. So if you kind of go back in these woods, I figured he would have gone through the woods, but he kind of jetted off in another direction to the right, and there was these old cuts in there where they're overgrown with this tall grass, and that's where a lot of the bird hunters go. And he ended up
Mhm.
right in there. Well, first of all, I don't know how I missed the fact that that stuff was so close.
Well, I
Uh,
wonder if he went that way because, like, from an escape route, deer are like us, they want the path of least resistance. So, like, maybe in his mind, that was the fastest way or the easiest way to get away from whatever the danger was. I
So
don't
I
know.
was actually in there just a couple weeks ago, and I was looking at the spot where I cut him up because there's still some hair left on the ground from where I left him late because I gutted him and I did everything in the field. I chopped him up right there. But I was looking at the area, and I think he followed an old logging road, it was kind of an old two track. You could just faintly see the resemblance of it into going into the woods. And I walked it, and it pretty much slowly leads back into that spot where I was, kind of in that general area. So I'm wondering if you kind of just hit that path of least resistance, like you're saying, and just went.
But it pays to be nice to people and not
Absolutely.
treat people like they're adversaries. Like talk to people, tell them what's up, and sometimes they help you out.
Dude, I'm probably the worst person you want to run into out there because, dude, I talk to everybody. Like, I'll be driving out of my spot in the evening and I see guys coming out, be like, hey, what's up? What'd you do? What'd you see? Oh, I saw some stuff down there. Oh, you guys are looking for bear? Oh, I heard that there's some good bear sign down there. Like, I don't care. It's all public. We're all in the same spot. And I figured if these guys are successful and they're having a good time, maybe they'll be nicer and eventually somebody will share some info with me, which they have. I've gotten great information from like local guys, especially like people see me all the time in the summer and I'm out hiking, I'm out mushroom picking, whatever. And it's amazing the little tidbits you learn from guys if you're just willing to have a conversation for a couple minutes and listen.
So, what happens next? You're butchering it up, you're talking to the guy.
Yeah,
So,
he
now
kind of
what?
hangs out. He hangs out for a few minutes, takes a couple pictures for me, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to keep looking for grouse and woodcock." I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." And they kind of just went off on their way.
Do you have pheasant
Well,
up there, or is it mostly grouse and
so
woodcock?
most of the pheasant in Pennsylvania, if not all, are stocked, basically,
I think that's most
and that
places
area
now.
doesn't do that.
Hmm.
And yeah, so he was looking for grouse and woodcock, and I don't know if he found any or he ever does in that spot because I can't say I've ever found any. But I think he was more out there just to walk around with a gun and watch the dog work, which worked in
Hmm.
my favor. It was awesome. That's pretty much it, man. Like he took off. I cut him up, threw him in my tiny backpack from XOP, and walked into the truck.
I love that bag for getting in and out with your gear, but it is definitely not for packing out any weight at
No,
all. Not even close. What is the I'm sure people would be interested. What's the arrow setup you have? Like what do you know what the weight is, what the broadhead is, anything?
okay, so my arrow setup roughly is I'm trying to think. I'm like 550 grains,
It's pretty heavy.
pretty heavy. I shoot a 100 grain uh, G3. Is it
The
the
Montec?
Magnus Montec? Jeez, Magnus. Yeah, the G3 Montec or G5 Montec, whatever they are.
It's
And
the three blade fixed blade, right?
yep, and they're easy to sharpen. So I've had them for a couple of years, and just kind of run them before the season. So that's mine. And then I run like 75 grain inserts up front to get just that weight, simple blazer reins, and I shoot just a simple little, single cambo. It's like, what is it? Like a PSC stinger. Nothing fancy, just whisker biscuit, and that's it, man.
You do love that whisker biscuit.
Hey, it's foolproof, man.
It is foolproof. I get to mess with my drop away rest, and then every time I do, you always laugh at me with your whisker biscuit. Every time.
Hey.
So, what do you think was different this year? You've been hunting in PA for many years. You've been hunting for longer than I have. Um, what do you think was different this season than previous seasons where you're finally able to connect with a buck? Because you've gotten deer before, but
Yeah.
this is the first buck.
So I'll say that I felt like for me personally this year, I kind of put a lot more effort in. Years
Mhm.
prior, I always found myself kind of I used going out a lot more of like, oh, this is my little escape. So I'll go and I'll sit, and I kind of I think a big problem for me was I was married to spots. So there were certain areas that I've shot doe in or I've seen bucks in. I had good encounters that didn't connect, and I was like married to these spots. So I was like, oh, I have a stand there, and I'm going to keep putting a stand there every year on public. Or I know I can set up on the ground here and I'll constantly go back to the same spot. And I wasn't great at watching wind, which is something I really learned when we started doing the Western stuff. I got a lot better at watching the wind and it translated for me because I don't do any type of scent control. Like I know a lot of guys will say it's important. I never thought it was. I really try to play the wind. That's the biggest thing for me. And it works
Same.
because I'm lazy. I don't have a lot of time to stand here and wash my clothes like 4 times a week, or something crazy. And yeah, I think I put in more effort And I think what really helped is going into a new area. Like this spot, the area I hunted this year, I never hunted before, and it's super close to my house, so I'm able to get in there all the time. And I was back there a lot during the summer, and even or going into the fall. And I just I basically said I'm not going to hunt any of my old spots this year. I'm going to stay in this new area, and just scouted for like A B C D E, and I had scouted a lot during the season. Like I kept going back in there with the saddle, with the mobile saddle. What's great is, hey, I feel like, oh, there's somebody in that spot I want to hit, because there was a lot of guys that hunt back there. So if I saw a truck just even in the general area I want to go to, I'd just blow to another area. Say, screw it. You know what? I guess we're
Hmm.
checking out something else on the sit tonight. So I think that was a big benefit, is not being afraid to get into like a little bit of unknown, and just not being married to the spots, and really focusing more on the repeatable stuff, like watching the wind, making sure I have my gear dialed, shooting more, and just being ready.
The changing up the spots is one that I've got to do. I know you and we have a group chat for our hunting little hunting group, and every time I hunt in my spot, there's just a bunch of cars. Like there's never a time where I wouldn't go in there and I wouldn't see other hunters. I think that's the big one is I got so stuck on one spot, and it's because I've seen nice deer. I mean, you've seen the
Yeah.
pictures. I'm not going to share some of those pictures. Um, like there's some nice deer in there, and I think that's the problem is like you get stuck on you get fixated on a deer or a spot and you just want it, and you need to be mobile, be willing to adapt, and put in reps. I think you put in a ton of work in the off season preparing, and you're doing it already this season. I mean, you're going out there a couple days a week still, and it's April. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, it's spring, small game hunting, turkey hunting could be coming soon. I don't think you're planning on doing either of those,
I don't.
but
Yeah, our small game comes in fall, and I don't turkey hunt. I never really
there's
got
no
the
spring
appeal.
small game.
No, not in
Really?
Pennsylvania.
Wow, I had no idea. Man, I take everything for granted. Apparently.
Yeah,
But congrats, man. That is a freaking fantastic buck. I am so happy. I was freaking ecstatic when you got that deer. And I
yeah.
know it
So
was
was
tough for
I.
you at first, just like the way it all went down and everything, but you got a vast majority of the meat. He definitely died quick. He didn't go very far. So, like, all of the emotions and everything you're feeling were just in your head. It went great. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And honestly, it's like all that stuff, the high and low, all that going on. It's like as soon as you get a knife down, and you're like, okay, there's work to do. Got to cut this up. Got to before it gets any worse. And I did end up losing most of that one back ham, which is fine. I mean, it's there's nothing I could have done to save it. And yeah, once you put that knife to work, man, that's it. All those feelings are over. And I was just like, get it done, get him out of here, and get him done.
Yeah. I mean, how many guys, they go through the same thing, but they lose all of the meat because they can't find it right away or whatever. So in the end, it worked out. You've got an amazing story that you're never going to forget. An
Yeah.
awesome deer. And do you have anything else you want to say about PA before we move over to Texas?
PA, awesome place. We have so much public here to hunt. And I'm very happy that I get to live here and do all this all the time. And just want to say how lucky I got that the only thing that got to that deer was an eagle, because the amount of coyotes that I hear and see in that area, it's amazing that nothing found it. I think just the fact that the temps got low that night saved my ass, because if it was any other time, I think I would have just came up on it. It would have been all tore up.
I mean, it's a good time of year. You live in a good place for um, the temperature. I don't remember what it was like here, but I mean, November in Texas is not safe to leave any. I don't think there's a time of year in Texas where you can leave something overnight. All right. So not only did you get one buck in this season, you got two. And you and your dad got to have an awesome experience down at a private ranch with our mutual friend in South Texas, right on the border. And yeah, it was your first time out there. I think it was my third time out there. For those who are listeners of the podcast, I published my episode. I forgot what I called it because I want to purge that from my memory forever. It's something like, I think the thumbnail says like I regret everything. It was the deer that I shouldn't have shot, and I did, and I'm still butthurt about it. Especially now, it feels even worse. I'm going to do a podcast on this, but my freezer went out of commission temporarily, and I lost all of my meat. So not only did I shoot that deer, all of his meat went to waste. So it's been a great start to 2025 for me. But it's a much better series of events for Peter and his dad. So tell me what you thought of the ranch. Tell me about the experience being out there with your dad, the highs and lows, because I know there were highs and lows there. Want to hear all of it.
Yeah. First of all, that place is ridiculous. Can I just say that up front? Like for somebody that like coming from up here, where there's some big tracts of land, but most it's like you can't walk a few hundred yards without being in the woods. It's thick or it's laurel. So like just that environment is so different, and you're looking at it and it doesn't make sense, and the chunks of ground are so big, and then the whole thing, like just how they hunt, is so different. Like the amount of animals they're seeing, and the way they manage their land with the feeders and all that stuff. It's so much.
It's
It's
your
so
first time in a
foreign.
blind, right?
Yeah, it's first time sitting in a blind, first time sitting over feeders. That's like a foreign thing. Like up here, if you did that, you're going to jail. Like, you know what I mean? Super
Mm-hmm.
illegal. I'm sure guys still do it, but I've never hunted that way, so it's a totally different thing, and it was awesome. And what's the nice thing is I got to hang out with you and the guys who I've met before, and I got to take my dad with me, which was awesome because he had a bunch of health stuff going on last year. So I've been really bugging him to come up and hunt, and he's been out west with us twice now. And this year he wanted to do something. So when this opportunity came up, it was like perfect because all his medical stuff was passed and he should be good to go. So when we went down to Texas, it just worked out. It was kind of his break back to reality after everything, and we got to go hunt together. So it was fun. Spent a lot of time in the blind with him, and I know I thought I hit a doe, and I think I hit her low the first day, that first morning,
Oh yeah, I
and
forgot about that.
yeah, and I couldn't find her. But then it turned out, we shot that rifle. That rifle was way off. That little 308 that always gives me problems. So pulled out the other one, and we were good. I mean, me and Dad shot what, four doe in like
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes sitting together in the blind. Like, dude, it was nuts. That'll
Uh-huh.
never
I
happen
could. The
again.
text messages coming in were hilarious. It was, the best part from my perspective was seeing the change in emotions because you would go from this sucks, there's nothing to go down. And then it was like two down. It's like, here's another one. Oh, wait, I think dad just shot another one.
Oh, it's great, dude. He had a blast. Like he was just like, I don't care where we go, but like, can it be like this from now on?
Good luck.
Yeah, he's like, I don't think he really grasps like how special us being able to go down there was, because he's like, oh, well, like why do we hunt anywhere else?
Oh, if only he knew the amount of money that we should have had to spend to go there.
Yeah, no, that opportunity for me and him was phenomenal, and I mean, I hope one day we get to go down there, and we have other stuff we're planning now to kind of return a favor and get those guys up north.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was so awesome. And basically, it was funny because I think we were kind of annoying. Every time we'd see a buck, I'd kind of text the guy because he was like, "Oh, there's some management deer
We
that
should
are
probably
older."
clarify that this was after my debacle of
Oh,
making a
100%. Yeah,
mistake.
after he had
Yeah, like
messed up.
no one
Yeah.
questioned anything until I screwed up, and then everyone was second guessing every decision that was being made.
Yeah. Well, we kind of kept texting, and then eventually we were kind of like, let's lay off the bucks. But I wasn't really texting him because I wanted to shoot it. I was more just kind of curious about what their idea is for mature, because to me is like, it's weird. Like, okay, like that deer turned out to be beautiful and he's awesome. But if he was half that size and he was legal, I would have shot him just the same. It makes no
Dude,
difference
yeah.
to me. I like he's awesome. I'm proud of him, but I'd be no less proud of him. He was half that size, and So
Dude,
I
I
don't
had
really
someone
pay.
comment on one of my YouTube videos recently joking about this deer and how small he is. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, the amount of effort, like, there's a reason that this guy is here and he's the only deer. I've got bigger deer. I've got bigger bucks. I've got a freaking nice big ass bull elk that I could have in here. But there's a reason I have this one because I freaking earned that shit. He's the one I'm proud of. And like, it doesn't matter. Like, you earned it. Like, sure, the antler size is cool and whatever, but that's, that's only part of it.
Well, that was the whole thing with that experience. It's just so foreign because they really manage down there and they really watch and pay attention to that stuff. So when he kept saying management deer, like if it's a buck that like we should take out, they're really old or whatever, right? Like you kind of give us the whole spiel, and it's like, dude, like honestly, I have a hard time aging. It's not something I'm good at because
Me
here's a
too.
lot of you don't get a lot of time to watch deer. It's not like down there where you can literally sit there and just watch deer all day long, or whatever, for hours a day. Here you're
I mean, I
lucky.
watched that buck I shot for over an hour. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
had
crazy.
plenty of time to look at him. And even that's not enough because unless you have, like, I would say years of experience aging deer, it's hard. And they are, like you said, they manage that ranch. They spend a lot of time there and a lot of time staring at a lot of old bucks because there's not a lot of pressure. It is very controlled
Yeah,
environments. The deer are relatively safe. So, they just have that experience that we don't have.
yeah. I mean, it's awesome. Like I mean, just to go down there and see how it works is impressive. Like because so much damn work goes into it. It's pretty crazy. Like I thought it would just be like, oh yeah, toss some stuff out, see what happens. Like no, this is pretty intense. Like these guys have a system and it works. And it was awesome. It was great to have the opportunity where just put meat in the freezer, dude. Like we came back with 2 coolers full of meat, and yeah, I mean I
Debone
don't have the
meat, like you
problem you
guys
have.
packed out a bunch.
Yeah, and we go through it quick in my house. We eat a lot of meat, so like I'm already looking into like what's the soonest season I could hunt to fill back up because beef is expensive.
Everything's expensive right now.
So yeah, man, it was a great opportunity. And then the one night they kind of said, "Oh, would you want to come out and maybe try to shoot a buck?" And like we have this deer we want to get rid of, and he's old and he's kind of funky and just bad genetics, which is this buck here. Clearly something wrong there. Which like I know I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, he'll have a bad leg on the opposite side if he's got that antler deformed." There's nothing wrong with him. Like, dude, this thing's still broken. He's got 2 broken points, even though he looks like that. Like, who the hell was he fighting? It doesn't make sense. That was
It's
the other
not the
thing.
size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog,
Yeah,
right?
so many bucks down there that they're all broken because it's so dry and they're all fighting. Like, it's wild. So it was cool, man. But yeah, we ended up coming out, and one of the guys that's good friends with the owner. He's kind of he did some guiding and stuff. So I know he had seen this buck before, so he took me to a different blind. I sat with him that evening, and sure enough, he ended up coming out, and I had a shot at him, just about two. Took a shot where
200 yards.
about 200. Yeah, he kind of came way down the road and took a shot. Shot felt good. Ended up going down there right away, But he took off. He didn't drop, which was weird because all the does I shot the days previous just dropped. And so we came down, went over there, saw some blood, saw where he went. He goes, okay. Like he confirmed he was watching the whole time because it was a good hit. It was like a solid hit. So, all right, sweet. Went in, got into some of that nasty brush they got down there, and started walking around. It was just a couple minutes, and the guy was like, "Oh, got him," because he was to the right, I went to the left. So yeah, we got him out of there, took some photos, and took him back, got him cut. They got him cut up and everything. So it was awesome. It was like so cool to start my season, well, end my season in Pennsylvania with that, and then be able to kind of go out late season down in Texas and pick up another one. It's awesome. They were already great memories, and it was an awesome experience that just adds to it to have that up there as a little reminder of that trip that we got to have down there together. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. You got to see the full the most professional like butchering process
Oh my
you'll
god,
probably ever see anywhere with the electronic hoists where they pull them up and like the whole skinning shack with the walk-in cooler and everything. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen.
dude! Me and my dad have hung deer off like his back porch in New York City.
You remember we hung my pronghorn off of a tree in Wyoming near a creek? We
It
literally
works.
took a rope out of my truck, threw it over a branch, and used that because it was so hot. We were like, we need to get this thing cooling as fast as possible and get some wind going over it.
Oh man, yeah. It was awesome. Those guys just have a crazy operation, and I hope we'll be able to go down there again someday and just kind of
I am never
experience that
shooting
again.
another buck down there.
Well, not even, dude. I don't even care if they need some does down. I'll go or just
Yeah,
hang out. That
same.
place is so wild. Like drive around, their neighbors got wild stuff going on. The place is crazy.
Yeah, I just like hanging out there. Plus, we got to see the Aoudad.
Dude,
Um,
South Texas is the wildest place I've ever been in my
let's just say
life. Like
Texas is
nothing.
the wildest place. Okay.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense when you're down there.
No, nothing makes sense in Texas.
Trying
I
to
love it.
driving out of there, getting on the road, there's like antelope on the side of the road. I'm like, where the hell did these things come from?
We got to get you going into the draw system down there. It's a pain in the ass. Um, it's a difficult draw because the odds suck, but it's cheap to put in. And I put in for all the exotics, and there's some hunts out there. Like there's one that Carrie put me on to that is technically a deer hunt, but it's actually for nilgai antelope,
That's pretty
and
sick.
it's one that I might be able to draw next year. It'll be an interesting one. It's another January type hunt,
Nice, man. Well,
but
if you
we got to
draw it,
get you
I'll
on
join
there.
you.
It's also archery,
That's fun.
but yeah, man, it's a fun place. I really like it there. I hope we get invited back. We'll see if we do. They're trying to turn it into like I forget what the ranch hand's name was, but I know he was telling us about them increasing like the protein and adding cottonseed and stuff like that. They're really trying to mature it and start taking out guided hunts and stuff. So we'll see how it develops over time. I really loved um, the last sit, you and me just hanging out in the morning, bullshitting and seeing all the different deer, shooting a couple squirrels, playing with the
Dude,
suppressor
there's
and
not. Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I think that might be the first time in my life where I had like a no pressure sit. Like, dude, like coolers are full, everything is cool, like everything's done. There's no pressure. You can just sit and hang out and be like, oh, like I don't care if I'm being a little too loud because really, what does it matter? Like, that's awesome. How often
Hmm.
do you get to do that? Like, never. Everything I
Never.
do here is like super high strung. When we go out west, it's always the same thing. Like everybody's laser focused. We got stuff to do. Like, yeah, let's hang out for a half hour at camp at night while we eat before we knock out.
Hmm.
So it was kind of nice. It was so laid back, and yeah, that was awesome, man.
It was a good trip. Hopefully, we get to do it again. But if not, at least we got to have the experience, something we'll have forever. Took some pictures with your old man too, so that we could cement those memories. Oh, good times. I don't know that there's much lessons that can be learned about the Texas one because that's just a fun story and it's tough. Like I remember when I moved to Texas, I was telling you, I'm like, "Ah, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hunt anymore. It's gonna be really tough. There's no public land, which is true. And then I just somehow got lucky, made some friends, and managed to get some opportunities for us to hunt. I don't know what to say. Texas is one of those places where you either have to know someone or have deep pockets. That's the way it
But
is.
honestly, so far, everyone I've met through you when I came down to visit you, or be it now when we went down to do it, everybody's so damn generous and super nice. Whether it be like with the knowledge of how they do things, or let us to come hunt, or just everything, man. Like people you meet being out and about, everyone we've met was awesome. Like I have no complaints. It seems like a really cool place.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, and I guess I can use that to spin this into something positive about Texas and just my experiences in general, having lived and hunted in lived in three different states. I obviously hunted in those states. I've hunted in 7 states. Um, when you approach a person with genuine just curiosity, conversation, wanting to understand, and you don't expect them to give you anything, sometimes they give you stuff. Like, that's not why you do it. But if you're just a good person, you ask questions, like, you're willing to put down your ego, not act like you know everything. I'll never forget my birthday, probably 3 years ago now. This mutual friend, I wanted to go fishing, and I was like, I've never gone redfish fishing, and we went, and I don't even remember what it was, but like I asked a very stupid, like basic, simple question that someone who had done it before would know, and he turned to me and he was like, "Did you really just ask that?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "That's awesome." Because most people that I know would have just pretended to just figure it out, lied because they were too scared to ask the question. And I mean, we were already good friends at that point, but time and time again, I've met even people that I've paid for, like the Arizona guide. His name's Chris. Like, such an awesome guy. And I like to think that when you approach things with genuine curiosity, you're just a good person and you're not trying to, get something out of every conversation, you tend to attract good people and the best in people. And, I don't know, I'm not a karma person, but life tends to reward you, and somehow maybe the universe is real and all of that crap. I don't know. Um, but if you're going to try and spin it into something positive that people can take action on, uh, don't be an ass. Be a good person. Put down your ego. You don't know everything. You should treat everyone like you can learn something from them. And you'll end up meeting nicer people, having better stories, and but hopefully more fruitful, better memories as well. I know
Yeah.
that hasn't turned me or steered me wrong so far, and I don't plan on changing anytime soon. Any words of wisdom you want to share before we end the official podcast?
Well, my words of wisdom for anyone is you don't need cameras.
It's true.
You don't. Honestly, I think I ran cameras for a couple years, like a couple here and there, and I found myself kind of getting obsessed. Like, ooh, I had a buck on this one, and then I felt like I started to kind of marry that spot. And oh, I found a buck on this one, and it was the same thing. Like, I just felt like, to me personally, I'm not a guy that's going to take inventory or whatever. But as soon as I had those pictures during the summer, going into the early season, I was like, oh crap! Now I know this deer's here, so oh, is that going to make me weird when I'm in the stand and the 6 point walks out that's legal, and I'm going to be? I started to question it, like, oh, do I kind of want to take that shot if I see him that's barely legal, or do I want to wait because I know there's other deers in here, or I might get lucky in November? So I think going in with no expectations, like do your scouting, see deer, seeing deer and seeing bucks, buck sign, like kind of go back to the basics of woodsmanship. Like, okay, I'm seeing solid sign. I know there's buck in the area. And you might get surprised, right? Like you don't know. Like go in without expectations. Like I said, I would have shot any legal deer that popped out in front of me, and it happened to be just this one, right? And I knew there was good deer in the area. I'd seen them, but I never had an expectation of what I would shoot. To me, it's always like, hey, like if it's decent deer, like if it's legal and that's out of spots, like it'll get shot.
Hmm.
So I think cameras mess a lot of people up. I see it here a lot. Like I see guys old time obsessive with photos they get because like, oh, I had photos of this deer and I don't know, right before season they disappeared and I never saw them again. And kind of like either ruins your season or they obsess over it and they pass on opportunities they had because they get stuck on that one. So all I'm gonna say is if you're gonna run cameras, do it for fun. Like there's some spots where I want to put cameras that are deep in, but that's mostly for bear because I really like to put a little more focus on the Pennsylvania bear season, which is tough because it's late and it's archery and then muzzleloader rifle. But it's weird. Most of the deer in Pennsylvania get shot in crops and archery or during drives and rifle. So I'm trying to find some spots where maybe I could see consistent movement. I kind of have some ideas. So I'd run some cameras there, but still just regular, no cell cams, nothing crazy. I don't need something telling me where they're at. But for deer, I don't see myself doing it unless I own a place of my own.
Yeah. I'm not at that point where it's ruining my season, but it definitely makes you second guess leaving a spot. I think I'm not a good enough deer hunter for me to be picky. If it's a legal buck, I'm probably going to shoot it. Especially with how my last season went. I'm not going in with any expectations this year. I want to kill something this year.
Dude, I just always go back to like I see guys get upset online all the time. Oh, why'd you shoot that deer? Blah blah blah. It's like, dude, if it makes you happy, if you were like me in that saddle that day where I don't know, I was shaking so damn hard after that shot that I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to make it down my down my steps.
Yeah. If the heart's pumping, you can
Yeah,
let that
dude,
arrow
it was
fly,
awesome.
man.
I know I called you guys. I could barely talk, so yeah, it's tough. It's tough, dude. But I think I think that's the biggest thing. Like if it makes you excited, if you like, dude, if you're only excited by big deer, shoot big deer. If you're excited by shooting doe or anything else, like I am, fuck, shoot them all, man. Who cares? As long as it's
I want a
legal,
full
go for
freezer.
it. That's it.
Like,
That's what makes me happy.
that's what I want. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that podcast all about everything that happened and what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Maybe that'll be next. Thanks, buddy, for coming back on. I always love having you on talking about anything, really. But I'm so pumped for you to. I mean, I was super pumped for you to get the first buck. And I really wanted you to get one in Texas. And you got both. So I'm just so happy for you. For all the listeners out there, thank you as always for listening. I always say time is our most valuable asset. I don't take it for granted that you chose to spend it with me. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all next time.
yep. Thank you.